People who have been sitting on the fences are going to see this on the news.
Yep.
They're going to run to it. And so what I'm telling our clients that are sitting on the fence right now is we have to get you approved.
Yep.
We have to get the bird in the hand. And then once the program is announced, because, part of the details are what's the interest rate going to be.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but
No,
that
go for it.
really bothers me.
Mhm.
We're so rate driven.
Mhm.
And it's like everybody got so used to hearing the news say 3% rates, 4% rates. All of a sudden you hear 6.5%, 6%, 6.5%, 7%. Now no one wants to buy. That's when you buy.
I hate stuff in my pockets. Fucking feel like a goddamn janitor. So test mute button right here on this side, just in case, so don't touch it accidentally, because I've already had times where,
It happened.
dude, I recorded, Brian.
Yeah. You've done several with them.
Yeah, so I recorded with Brian, and I don't know, I think we were here maybe like an hour and a half, something like that. But maybe like 2 minutes into it, I fucking hit the button. So my whole audio was off. It was just picking up from his. But a friend of mine who does this for a living, he on Adobe, there's a feature that's called podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
You just upload your sound, and then it converts it into this type of mic.
Yeah.
So he was able to extract the audio. I'm like, dude, that was such a fucking
Yeah, you don't really need 2 mics anymore, bro. You actually could install, like, they have those small mics that you can just position them, and it does pick up. But these are better, bro, because you get better sound.
Yeah.
So, like, I have a good mic, and eventually when I set my setup and I start really doing this more, which I should have done a long time ago, but I don't really have an office right now.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Then I'll be able to do something. But
yeah, so like, dude, honestly, like, I mean, you have these mics.
Yeah, those work fine too, bro.
They work fine.
Yeah.
I have the lapel mics.
This just looks cooler, Oh yeah, you got the Rode. That's what I need. One of those. That's all you really need.
Mm-hmm. So the thing again, it's like, and it's just the level of quality.
Yeah.
Like, I can shoot with my phone. I do B-roll with my phone. So like, I'll have a camera here, then I'll have another camera here.
Matter of fact, can I shoot with my phone?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna get it right now.
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't bring the damn tripod.
I got a tripod.
I forgot it.
So then let me do 1, 2. There you go, marker, motherfucker. Oh, dude. So yeah, the thing was, I just have a lot of friends that do this professionally, right? So they shoot stuff.
Yeah.
And so then, like, the whole thing with me was like figuring out, okay, what frames per second do you shoot in?
Yeah.
Right, figuring that out. Do you shoot in
2400, right? Yeah.
2400?
Yep.
So he explained to me, he's like, 2400 is movie quality.
Yes.
Right, and then when you're shooting different things, you got to change the frames per second if you want it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So I was figuring that shit out. And then I was obviously using my phone at first. And he's like, hey, you got to get mics.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, oh, buy like a $30 mic.
Yeah.
And then buy $200 mics. And then buy $500 mics.
These are good mics, by the way.
And then buy really expensive mics. So every single time, it's a lot of fucking money, dude.
Yeah. Nah, I think when I started doing the research, like, you got the camera, so that's and you got a good one, by the way. That's a good camera.
Thank you, sir.
I have an older Canon, like 60D,
Uh-huh.
and it still does well for the time we're in right now. And I was doing research, and I was like, oh, should I buy a camera? And I'm like, nah, dude, I got the 60D. This dude on YouTube I follow, he's doing a lot of stuff with his 60D, but he does like a lot of filming outside. But he's like, for podcasts, it's perfect. Or for filming whatever you're doing, it's perfect. He's like, you don't need to go and spend the money. And then the phones are actually getting better, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And so you could do a lot with the phones too. So I'm just like, that's why I use my cell phone. So I'm like, dude, if I don't have something, might as well just do something, because doing
something's better than nothing.
Exactly. Something is better than nothing, dude.
Something's better than nothing. And then, so it's like, I would shoot in cinematic, or then shoot in, shoot on the phone, like regular.
Hmm.
But then the other part was the editing
Yeah,
aspect
that's the
of it.
hard for that, dude.
So
Yeah.
it's like we can shoot like something standard on our phone, but if we don't know how to edit it right,
Yeah.
it's still not going to get the
Yeah.
views.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I have a video I haven't finished editing, dude, because it's just the app on the phone takes forever, dude.
What app do you use?
I use InShot,
Oh, okay, yeah,
so
yeah, that's what I
I
use.
mean, it's easy to use. It just takes long.
Yeah.
You got to go in and then to like use your fingers. Sometimes like you can miss something, but I had Adobe, but I canceled it
Hmm.
because dude, I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to figure this out. I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
And then asking people that know how to do it is like, dude, oh well, give me a couple $100 or this is, I'm like, bro, can you just show me how to do this? Like, I'll
Right.
pay you to show me. And then I figured out though, one of the things I started to realize is like, dude, Fiverr. There's a lot of people
Mm,
on Fiverr, but it takes like 72 hours to get your content back.
yeah.
But there are pretty good people that can do some editing.
It's this weekend I fucked around again with Final Cut,
Oh, okay.
and I've had the camera for a while, but it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I've had the mics. I've had a lot of stuff for a while, like where I've been adding to it,
Yeah.
but I've tried to stay away from the camera because it's too much. So same thing with Final Cut,
Yeah.
where it's like, fuck, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm literally going to spend so much time trying to learn this.
Yeah.
But I said this weekend, that's what I'm learning. I'm learning how to do Final Cut. So um, it's I understand now after doing so much of it why these guys charge
Yeah.
$500 to $1,000
Yeah.
for a 30-second or a 1 minute reel.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, so let's say I go to a venue to record something. That's an hour.
Yep.
And then you're editing that content for an hour to 2 hours.
Yep.
And then your creative side of it, right? Like now I'm charging a premium for like the creative side.
Hmm.
Then I'm charging a premium for the number of followers I have,
Yeah.
the exposure. It's like not everybody has the followers I have. So now I'm thinking, damn, I get these guys. They're actually, it's a legitimate business. People don't know how to do it. It's obviously needed,
Yeah.
but I'm also not going to pay you, so I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my first couple reels I did, I kind of got caught out of left field, and it was a good price, but I wasn't expecting it. So I did a video, and I got the full video, and then with a couple reels, and I was like, oh, dude, like I could do these myself.
Yeah.
And I still have the same video, so I'll chop it myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just do it directly on the app. But on Final Cut or Adobe, it comes out a lot cleaner because
Mm-hmm.
you can add things and it looks a lot cleaner. So I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to learn how to do something else. And maybe it's an excuse, but for me, it's like I got so much I'm doing. It's like I don't want to learn how to do that.
Well, that's something that someone was asking me on one of my lives on TikTok the other day. They're like, "How do you do so much?" I was like, "I'm lucky that I don't have kids."
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that's one of the things. It's like, obviously kids are a blessing, and I just I don't have that in my life.
yeah,
So from you figure getting kids ready for school, breakfast,
yeah,
homework, weekend
yeah,
events, things of that nature, like my days are free,
yeah.
and the other part is I don't want to learn something that I'm not genuinely interested in.
Mm,
And I love film.
yeah,
I was talking to my brother yesterday, and I'm like, I used to use them as my muse when I was
yeah,
in high school. So I took photography class, and I have a bunch of pictures of them, like black and white, when I would develop pictures. And so I've always loved movies. My first job was in a movie theater.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Which one?
My first paying job was in a
Wow.
movie theater. It was AMC,
Okay.
the one right here at
Yeah.
Ontario Mills.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So one of the biggest things that we had growing up was my mom was always out working.
Hmm.
And when she was out working, my dad would take care of us because my dad had a 9 to 5. My mom was an entrepreneur. So my mom had to go out, be like, all right, take care of the kids. And so we just used to watch movies with my dad. So movies for me are significant. Like the
Mm.
fact of going to the movie theater,
Hmm.
eating popcorn, It just reminds me of time well spent with my dad and my brothers.
Mm,
And then getting my first job where I actually got paid in the movie theater. Being able to have the ability to say, hey, I'm taking my brothers to the movie
yeah.
theater because we could watch whatever movie we
Yeah.
wanted. And so photography, film, audio has always been a big part of what my interests are. And so now when I'm doing this, it's like
Yeah.
I love it, I enjoy it. I don't feel like I'm working. It's a creative
Yeah.
process. It's like I could either paint, which I love. I guess I figured out I love painting. I could either paint, I can draw, or I can work on some content, and that's like it just gets my creative juices flowing. And you've been in this industry long enough. You need a disconnect.
Yeah. All the time, dude.
Your music, right? So
Yeah.
so your music's a passion, and so you don't feel like you're working. You're having fun.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but it's that was the whole reason why I was like, I don't want to learn something else because,
Yeah.
with music, you have to edit the music too. So
Mhm.
it's like, and I'm in that learning process with the editing part because I can make the music, but it's like editing, putting it into song flow is not my strength.
Mm.
And then it's like I'll go and ask like people I know, oh bro, help me with this or let me do this or help me create this because I'm stuck. And it's like the same situation I'm running into, like, or I want to record, right? Because like, I'm okay with it, but not good at it.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, dude, I've been doing music for 20 years. I haven't recorded not one song, dude. I have like pages and pages and pages of lyrics I've written over the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll hear a song and I start to feel it. I'm like, dude, I want to let this out.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't have anybody to go to do it. And then when I ask them, it's like, oh, well, it's like 275 an hour or 375 an hour. And I'm like, bro, but you're nobody like me. Like, really? Like, well, what if, I'm just doing this because I love it. Like, but
Yeah.
like like that's your passion.
Yeah.
But it's like, that was the biggest turn off for me with music when I was into it. Cause I used to do a lot of different things with different people was that everybody wanted to make money doing music. And I was just like, so going back to what you're saying, the whole thing about movies brings it with your dad.
Mhm.
For me, music was that with my dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he always shared his music with me. So like he was always, growing up, being in the garage, it was always playing the vinyl. What vinyl is he gonna put on? Whether it be, classic R&B, which is oldies that he liked to listen to, or classic rock, whatever he had. So then I grew up listening to all this cool music, and then as I got older, it's like, oh, dude, I could take this record, I could chop it, I can make something because I started getting into hip hop, started understanding that where the fundamentals and the foundation of hip hop was, and it was all 70s and 60s music, and so that's where I got into the whole music thing. It was like, dude, I want to collect vinyls, I want to do this, I want to do that. I can listen to a song and be like, oh, dude, that loop is so cool. I can make something out of that.
It's having a different ear.
Yeah,
That's the part. Like my brother Mike, he can listen to something and then he can play the drums on it. Like he can just listen to it. Like, all right, I can hear all the beats that all the instruments are playing because I was also in band
hmm,
and I was a nerd. Went to band camp. I didn't do that thing with the flute, but um, I can listen to. I could hear it. But the creative side of music, that's the part that I have a challenge with.
mm,
I've never considered myself a creative, like being a creative person. So when I hear stuff, I just heard this corrido
hmm.
this weekend. Well, I've been hearing this corrido, and some dude turned it into a cumbia,
Oh wow.
and I'm like, damn, dude. So he's playing the trombone. He has this kid playing something else, and he's putting it all together because I saw the full TikTok video. I'm like that. Like I appreciate that so
Yeah.
much. It may not be my music, just like art, right?
Yeah.
Like it may not be my style, but I'm like, dude, I appreciate people when people are creative. Like
Yeah.
it's just fucking awesome,
Yeah.
man.
It is, and it's funny because like on these reels that I started getting into, like the reels and the YouTube shorts, um, I was like, man, I have music, like libraries of music, right? And I'm just like, I'm not going to use other people's music.
Yeah, me
I
too.
have so many, I have so much, I don't know how many beats I have, but I have a ton, just a big library. So I started using my own music. I was like, I'm gonna use my own music. you know?
It's kind of like what I told Diego and I told a friend last week, and I keep telling people, and that's the reason why I wanted to film. I know so many, and when I say cool, I don't mean cool like, oh, they're dressed cool. I mean cool like nice people,
Yeah.
smart people. Like cool to me means something different, right? But cool people like you, where it's like you're creative, you're in real estate. I've known you for years. You're a good guy. Why don't we highlight our friends?
Mm.
Why am I going to share a reel?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to share a video of another realtor in the Midwest,
Yeah.
right? Or someone I don't even know. Let's say I don't know their numbers. I don't know who they are as a person. Why don't I highlight my friends? So it's like, why don't I use my own music?
Yeah.
And so I will figure it out. That's my biggest thing. I will figure it out. I will figure out how to shoot it. I will figure out how to edit. I will figure out how to give my friends that spotlight.
Mm.
And so like the music stuff, man, like that's I champion people. I think the one of the things that Zig Ziglar said, the more people you can help reach their goals, the closer you are to reaching yours.
It's a
That's me.
powerful statement.
That's me messing up the
Mm.
actual quote,
Yeah.
but that stuck with me. That
Mm-hmm.
stuck with me. It's like I'm gonna help you, man. I got a call today from Ryan Orr for the St. Patrick's Day event that we're doing tomorrow. And again, it's like, what do you need, man? How can I help you? It's not my event. It's not my charity, but I'm gonna help him out as much as I can because it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, it's not taking anything away from me.
I
And
love that,
so
man.
I just I think we should help each other out. And sometimes I tell agents, I'm like, dude, why don't you share your other agents' content? You guys all work in the same office, right? 200 agents in the same office, and you guys don't share each other's content. And it's like a thought of scarcity.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to take my clients. Really? You're going to take your clients? Wow. Like, share your other agents' content, create content with other agents. I'm going to have lenders come in here.
That's dope, dude.
Why am I
That's
going
so
to
dope that you're gonna do that. By the way.
Why am I have one this week, another one next week, different branch managers. It's like they're not going to take my clients.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Mm-mm.
people are going to work with people they like and they
Yep.
trust. If they like them, so be it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of business.
There is, man. It's so funny. You bring up a good point, and I think it's in our industry. It's something that I've struggled with, right? Because I'm an open book. Like anybody can call me and ask me a question. I'm gonna be open and tell them, hey, this is what's working. This is what's working for me. This is what's not working for me. Hey, I found this program out. Hey, this is what and I'm all about collaboration. I'm all about working together and trying to figure things out. But it's been a real interesting journey for me, these last, I would say maybe 5 to 7 years, because there's a lot of people out there that are really highly successful at what they're doing. And yeah, I may know a lot of things, but they're whatever they're doing, they're like, man, they're doing it at a high level, which is where I want to be, right? And it's like I'll hit somebody up like, hey man, what are you doing? What systems are you using? What's this? What's that? And I get the hesitation, bro. And it's like, and I'm like, are you really that scarcity mindset where you have that fear of sharing because you think you're gonna lose out on where you're at? And it's like, it's just interesting, man. Like I'm all about helping people. I really believe in that. The more people you help, the better you're going to be, and you're going to get to your destination quicker, because the more you give, the more you receive. And I have that belief, and I've always had that belief. So, you know, when I ask somebody and they don't share, I'm just like, what is it that you're thinking that I'm going to take and do that you're going to lose? Because, you know, I feel like there's enough to go around, and you don't know, like, where I may go in the future. Like I may be a good business resource for you in the future. Just like I look at somebody who's new and I look at them like, man, they may be a good business resource for me in the future. But at the very least, I know where they were because I was them. So I want to help them, right? So it's I think in our industry, I th- I think we have the mindset that we have the secret sauce and we don't want to give it away, and so we keep it. And we like have that like, no, you can't have none mentality. Like, I don't want you to be better than me. Well, shit, I want somebody to be better than me, dude, because if I can help that person be better than me, then we're helping the collective achieve something. Because what if that person creates a huge business and they go off and do something great for the world? That's how I view things, though.
And that's um, it's same mindset, man. I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it, but doesn't mean I agree with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I understand why they are the way they are, but those are people I don't fuck with.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
I just like, all right, man. Like, and it's funny because I just uploaded a reel with another agent that Mike sat with, and the thing is, he's talking about how whoever you are on social media sometimes doesn't match who you are in
That's so
person.
strong, bro.
And so what he's saying is the authenticity of being true to yourself,
Hmm.
and then also being that person, because
Hmm.
once they match up and like people see you on social media and then they meet you and you're the same thing, they're like, I fuck with you.
Yeah.
I vibe with you.
Yeah.
Like you're real, you're honest. And at the end of the day, we're not always in business mode,
No.
right? Like I tell people it's like sometimes I know the perception of others, like, and it's been told to me. It's like, oh, dude, you're always fucking around on TikTok. Like, yeah, but have you seen my production?
That's good, bro.
Like, that takes me 10 seconds, right, to upload a TikTok video. Um, do you really think 10 seconds of my day are going to take away from like the clients and production that I have?
Hmm.
That's a part of me. I also paint, right? Like,
Hmm.
that's a part of me as a, let's say, artist or whatnot. I
Yeah.
also do charity work, but I'm trying to show people who I am, right? Like
Hmm.
like every aspect of me. Who you are at the bar is very different than who you are in a conference room
Hmm.
meeting. Who you are with your family is very different than who you are with your boys.
Yep.
And so we're all different individuals. And so what I'm trying to put out there is, obviously good vibes. I'm trying to put out and let people know who I am. And some people are going to like me. Some. Some people are not going to like me. But I'm trying to be authentic, right? And I think back in the day, in our industry, we try to be a chameleon and we try to match with everybody because we don't want to lose a client. I get that. But this is my channel.
Yeah.
This is my page.
Yeah.
If you don't like what you see, it's not like F you, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Scroll somewhere else.
Scroll somewhere else. And
Exactly.
it's not a problem
Yeah.
because I don't have to work with
Yeah.
everybody.
No,
I
for
just
sure.
don't. There's just some people that throughout the years of being in this business, it sounds weird to say because people are going to say, "How did you fire someone if they weren't even employed by you?" I have fired many agents. Like I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
You want me to, pick up every single phone call? Well, I'm not picking up the phone while I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah.
Like
I,
if I go to the
and I don't
restroom,
expect you to.
yeah, that's what I'm saying though, because we see eye to eye on
Yeah.
things, right? So if if a realtor is at their kid's, graduation
Hmm.
and they don't answer for 3 hours,
Hmm.
am I just going to say, hey, I'm giving this listing to
Somebody
another
else. Yeah.
agent?
Yeah. For
It's like, no,
sure.
man, I value your time. I value your friendship. I value everything that we built together. I know that you're not answering for a specific reason. And so when you say that about you sharing with everybody, it's like what you shared with your friend the other day.
Oh yeah, dude. He was beyond grateful, by the way.
He's funny, man.
Yeah, he was like, Martin, like, cause we had talked, and I was like, bro, I want to share this with you, just cause we don't know where everyone's at, bro. Like people
Right.
in this business, especially right now, like we don't know where everyone's at, and like he calls me and he's like, dude, you just motivated me so much. Like I was like struggling to figure out what I was gonna do, my next move, and like that program just it lit a fire under me. And then he told me he reached out to me. He's like, dude, George is cool. And I was like, yeah, bro, that's who I work with, bro. Everybody I work with is you're gonna vibe with them, bro. They're cool. You can go chill with them outside, bro. Like they're really cool people. And he's like, yeah, dude. But he was like so grateful. But the thing that I liked was just you know, the excitement he had, and I was like, oh man, if I could do that and impact somebody's life like that, I'm doing something right, you know?
It was funny because I think he called me like I don't know. I think he called me maybe at 5. I know I had a consultation at 5, 6, so I call him at 7,
Hmm.
and he's like, "What the fuck?" Bro?" It's like one of the. He's like, a fucking lender calling me at 7 o'clock on a Friday. He's like, what? I'm thinking like, who did Martin refer me to? So yeah, and then yesterday I'm getting like phone call. I got a lot of phone calls on Sunday
Mhm.
from agents, a couple on Saturday, not that many on Saturday. But his response was, I'm about to call my family. I'm about to call
Mhm.
some friends. I actually have some people that are interested.
Mhm.
Like the next day he did a video about it.
Yep.
Um and at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? We're in a business that I think we love, we enjoy, most of us, and we do it for a reason to give our family a shelter,
Mhm.
food, but at the same time to help others.
Yeah.
And so helping him just kind of realize that and to say like, yo, dude, there's so much stuff out there, man.
Yeah.
There's so much help. There's so much help for agents. There's so much help for buyers. At the end of the day, it's who are you working with,
Yeah.
and will that lender um, offer, let's say, these programs?
Exactly.
I spoke with someone on Thursday, a realtor, and she's like, "Yeah, my broker had me to reach out because we saw the guys on the approved lenders list, but we don't know what it is. We've had problems with these programs before.
Mhm.
60 to 90-day escrow offers
Yep.
don't get accepted." And as I'm having the conversation with her, she's like, "You can close in less than 30 days." I'm like, "I can close these in 10 days." Um, and misconception was, oh, it's a higher rate. No, it's actually a lower rate. So shorter time frames, lower interest rates,
Mhm.
and obviously the income limits are extremely high. And that's not what's presented by most lenders because they're thinking, how do I make the most out of one transaction
Yeah.
versus how do I help this family do my job and then get friends and family to be referred to me and establish clients for life. But again, it's just a mindset, man. And again, I understand why lenders do that. I understand why they're apprehensive. They maybe don't have the product, they're not approved for it, their systems are not set up the way that we have our systems to be able to close quickly. But you're also damaging your future opportunities.
Yeah.
One of the things about this camera, um,
It'll turn off, right?
30 minutes.
Yeah. I figured.
So I asked my friend that. I'm like, yo, dude, what the fuck's wrong with my camera? I think there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. He's like, they figured out a way that if it's 30 minutes,
Yep.
then you're paying the price for a camera. If it's over 30 minutes, you're paying a price for a video.
Video.
And once it's video, it's $1,000 more.
That's crazy, dude.
I'm like, well, fuck it. I can get up every 30,
Yeah, right.
30
Every 30
minutes.
minutes to put it, make sure it's on.
I went to Best Buy last week, and again, I'm just nerding out on the different lenses
Yeah.
and I'm like, fuck, dude. But again, it's like another $3,000, $4,000 for another camera.
Yeah.
But I think eventually I want to have 3 cameras. So this one, and obviously one
From the side.
one on directly
Yeah.
on you, one on me.
Yep.
Right now, I'm using for the B-roll. Like I said, I've been using the phones, and because the phones are so good, as you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
I'm able to get. It looks good because it's like, oh, it's a different angle. It's a different quality, like maybe cinematic. Um, but I really do want the other camera, and that's why when I watch podcasts, I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I know I can do that.
Yep.
And so we're gonna keep doing them, man. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep doing them. Uh,
Let, let's go back to where you were talking about, which is the program, and you were talking about the that you guys are set up for the systems and stuff like that. And I think, one of the things I'll share is I've known about the program we're talking about, right? And I just been doing research, and I already knew, like, oh, there's only so many lenders that can handle these programs. There's not a lot out there that, one, they don't really like doing them for some reason. I don't know why.
I'll
And
tell you why.
and two, well, I know they pay less. I
A,
think
a
that's one of the
third,
huh?
a third,
That's one of the reasons, right?
biggest reason.
Yeah. And then and the other one is the systems, and then, and if they don't have it down, they do take longer. That is true. And I think that's just you know, uh, it's not servicing the client first of all. It's not thinking of the client first. It's not thinking of the buyer. It's not thinking of how to bring the consumer, the product to the consumer where they can purchase, they can be a first time home buyer. And for me, and it's been one of those journeys, and I had to go back and think about me, right? I was like, man, what did I do so well when I was really, really, really killing it, right? And I was like, man, I was helping all these first time home buyers out. And I was happy doing it because they were so grateful. Like that somebody really wanted to help them, right? And it's like, I was educating them. I was, talking to them about why you're renting, giving them, stats. And it was really fulfilling to me to help them, right? And so when I started doing research, going into the, websites and looking at what's available out there, I was like, oh, this program's coming out, which I want to get into so we can talk about what this program is so we can get more of the consumers out there that are looking to buy, or any buyers who are on the fence because maybe they feel like they don't have a big enough down payment to make it make sense for them.
It's in this business, I've always thought of how would I want someone to treat my younger brothers,
Mm,
right? Thinking they're young and dumb, and let me take advantage of these kids.
mm-hmm.
And how would I want someone to treat my parents? They're immigrants, they don't know the language, let me overcharge them. So that leads me to the point of doing what's right,
Mm-hmm.
right? Doing what's right. And when you were thinking back of like, okay, what did I do that was successful for me in my business? I had to actually remove myself from being in this business of, let's say, 21 years. And I was typing up a approval letter. This was during the pandemic. I was in the living room typing up the letters. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday because I was downstairs, Laura's upstairs watching her shows, and thinking nothing of it, right? I'm just typing up an approval, no big deal. But then I put myself in the client's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, they're gonna get this email right now, Saturday, 8 o'clock at night, and they're gonna get a congratulations email that they could purchase a house, that they're fully approved, and that they could purchase it with a down payment assistance program.
So awesome.
And I just, again, I had to take myself out of myself, maybe jaded by the business
Yeah.
of so many years, and to think what I am typing up right now is the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell this family, you can do it, you can purchase. And when I tell people, it's like you're having a loan officer, right? State licensed loan officer, federal licensed loan officer. You're having a processor, an underwriter. You're having a state program. You're having all these people tell you, yes, we checked your finances, we checked your credit, we checked your employment, we checked everything. Not like in 2008. So we checked everything, and you check out, and you can purchase with these programs. And so, to your point on the assistance side, I had a client yesterday send me pictures of him and his family moving into his house, thanking us for the transaction.
Amazing, dude.
He bought his house with $4,600
Wow.
total
$4,600.
total out of pocket.
Wow.
So his last wire to escrow was $60. So he put 5,000 in escrow. He had a balance of $60. When we did the balancing at the end, he received like $1,500 back.
Yeah.
Purchased the home 75,000 below market value.
That's amazing.
75,000 below market value. And so there's these programs right now, the Dream for All program that's coming out within 2 weeks from the state of California, that's going to provide people with 20% towards a down payment. There are other programs out there right now that still provide 20% towards a down payment. Unfortunately, the other programs that exist right now, the income limits are relatively low.
Mm.
right? So you can't make more than 80,000 or 90,000, but that's for a pretty large family,
Yeah.
right? So like a family of 5 or a family of 6. The Dream for All program does not have that limitation. It has a limitation specific per county.
Hmm.
So LA County has a higher income limit versus San Bernardino County, but it's regardless of household size.
Wow.
So you can be a single person making 150,000 and you will be eligible to purchase in Riverside, San Bernardino, LA County with 20% down received from the state of California.
That's amazing. What's their cash requirement?
So you can use the 20% towards 100%. Yeah, it should have turned this off.
Oh, good.
So the good part about it is the editing.
Yeah, I know.
So you can use the 20% towards the down payment, or you can split it up and you can say, I'm going to do 15% down and then I'm going to use 5% towards my down
So,
payment
oh,
or
okay.
for my closing
Closing costs.
costs. I'm
Okay.
sorry, closing
Okay.
costs. So if it,
Or you can find a seller who's going to pay it all, which most sellers are doing right now because
right,
they're motivated to sell their houses.
exactly. So it's a matter of what's the best alternative for that
Yeah.
particular client, right? So sellers, sometimes I think buyers, and it's not their fault, right? But I'm going to offer less and I'm going to get all my closing costs paid. No, that's not the case because everybody has a unique situation.
Correct.
Every market's different. Glendora towards the foothills is very different
Yep.
than South Rancho.
Exactly.
Properties stay on the market different time frames. Inventory's
Hmm.
different, and then the seller is different. The
Yep.
seller could have a fire sale. The seller could be moving out of state,
Correct.
or the seller could just say, "I I don't care. This is the price, and I'm firm. And if I don't get it, then I'm not selling."
Yeah. And there are sellers out there like that. I actually just worked with one right now. We're about to close escrow with, and he was firm on his price. He did not want to go down, and it took data, real data, for me to show him why he needed to drop his price. And if it wasn't for me sharing the data, I don't think he would have dropped his price. And as soon as he did that price drop, we got into escrow within a matter of 3-4 days.
It's an uncomfortable conversation that's necessary.
Very necessary. But without the data, you're not going to convince a seller to drop the price if you're just suggesting it just because you think the market is whatever you believe, but you have to educate and show the sellers why the price is too high.
And the thing about it is, and this is what I tell people, because sometimes I ask the question, how much do you have for down payment? They try to tell me the lowest number,
Hmm.
not knowing that the lower down payment you put, the more I get paid.
Yeah.
So if you have 5,000, cool, no biggie. I'll get you into escrow. I'm gonna make more than if you tell me you have 100,000.
Yeah.
Vice versa, as an agent, when you're telling someone you need to drop the price, you're actually saying I'm gonna get paid less
Yes.
because you get paid based on price.
Yes.
So it's like I'm not trying to take anything away
Yep.
from you. I'm actually trying to get you the money, and I'm actually saying, hey, as Martin, as your agent,
Yep.
I'm gonna earn less on this
Yeah.
transaction.
It was interesting because the conversation was like, well, I'm making less money. And I said, well, I'm making less money too. And I was really like adamant about it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, because I can't get the price you want, I'm going to make less money also with you. I said, but look, it's not about how much money I make. It's about how much money I put in your pocket.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I don't feel comfortable making anything if you're not happy and I'm not doing my job right. And he's like, that makes sense. After trying to negotiate my commission lower. And
Yeah.
it was funny, but I was like, he's just a cool guy. He's like that. But he was moving out of state. He had to leave the state. It is what it is. We're actually closing escrow today, and
Nice.
he's happy. He called me on Sunday, left me a voicemail, and just said, "Hey, I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much for dealing with me the last 3 months." He's like, I appreciate your hard work, and I appreciate how you handled the transaction. And for me, that was more than enough to get that kind of call from a seller saying thank you, like for everything you've done and all the things you've done throughout the transaction and how you handled it. I appreciate that. To me, it said that was worth it.
It's again, I think just kind of going back to that situation of my parents, my
Mhm.
brothers, and first time buyers, right? So first time buyers a lot of times are lost.
Yeah,
They don't know what they're doing, just kind of like with credit, right? So with
exactly.
credit, we don't get education in high school. I don't know what college classes there are specific to personal finance that are real world classes. I'm not talking about theory.
There's none.
It's like saying, hey, you took your real estate license, now you know how to sell real estate. Bullshit. You got your lender's license, you know how to do loans.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Yep.
All it has to do is with law and theory, and that doesn't apply to the real world.
Nope.
And so, with first time buyers, letting them know city has programs, the county has programs, the state has programs, federal government has programs, there's private money.
Yep.
If a lender tells you there are no down payment assistance programs, 100% lie.
Mm-hmm.
Lie, lie, lie. It's just a matter of, are you eligible for it?
Correct.
Does your lender offer it? Do they have the systems in place to be able to help you and your family? Because the program with the state, it's been, the state of California has had this since 1973. And it's like, people are like, I didn't know that was available.
Wasn't it you telling me that there was somebody was telling, I don't know if it was you, but somebody had used a down payment assistance program and they actually were living in the house. They came from, it was one of my friends. Actually, it was my one of my buddies named Fernando. He said his aunt came from Colombia, used a down payment assistance program to buy her house. She's still living there today in the house. And if it wasn't for the program, she probably would have owned a home. And he was like, because we were talking about the program, and he's like, dude, he's like, my aunt used that program back in like 1982 or something like that. And he's like, matter of fact, she still lives in the house. She paid it off. She's like, and she has like a small payment. She's like, but it's nothing. She's like, but she tells me all the time, like, if it wasn't for this program, I don't think I would have bought a house.
California is okay. People argue in the comments. California is the third or fifth largest economy in the world.
Huge.
Huge. I mean, again, it sounds like nothing, but it's bigger than countries, right? Our gross domestic product, which means it's an expensive state to live in.
Very.
Rents are high.
Mhm.
Obviously, rents are high in New York. You know, rents are high, let's call it in Miami, in Dallas. There's certain areas that are very, very expensive. So California is notoriously expensive with limited inventory. Inflation's high, gas prices are high. It's funny when the news says the average price per gallon is $3 and something. I'm like, yeah, I wish we were paying that.
Exactly.
We're paying $6, $7 when those times were,
Yeah.
adjusted. And so what the state says, and Leanne Walker came out this past weekend to WeRep, and she was saying this program is in place for people that have a good job, people that are credit worthy, just don't have the opportunity to save. How can you save when you're paying $3,000 to $3,500 a month in rent?
Exactly.
How can you save even if you're making $100,000? Right, you're making $100,000, you have no tax deductions, you have a good job, you have good credit, but you're spending $30,000 to $50,000 in rent. Your other 50% goes towards expenses, maybe paying off college, whatever it is. It's extremely hard to save that 20% down.
Yeah.
So these are credit-worthy clients that can afford the house, but they're receiving some type of assistance.
Exactly.
Last year, they came out with a 10% program. The 10% program was depleted within 6 months. My phone would, I mean, right now you can hear the phone's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
My cell phone, the office phone, emails, every 30 seconds the phone was ringing because families saw that 10%. The difference was that income limit on that 10% was relatively low. It was about $60,000 a year. This income limit, again, you can make $125,000, $150,000. And now it's a matter of what's in your best interest.
Yes.
Do we take advantage of the full 20? Do we take advantage of a 3%?
Yep.
5%? Do we combine it with seller credits? But once this program hits, expectations are that funds will be depleted within 3 to 6 months.
Yep.
People who have been sitting on the fences are going to see this on the news.
Yep.
They're going to run to it. And so what I'm telling our clients that are sitting on the fence right now is we have to get you approved.
Yep.
We have to get the bird in the hand. And then once the program is announced, because part of the details are what's the interest rate going to be?
And I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no, go
that
for it.
really bothers me.
Mhm.
We're so rate driven.
Mhm.
And it's like everybody got so used to hearing the news say 3% rates, 4% rates. All of a sudden you hear 6.5, 6%, 6.5, 7%. Now no one wants to buy. That's when you buy. When everybody else doesn't want to buy because they think rates are too high. You get the best prices during this time. You can negotiate better with sellers. Sellers are willing to work with you because they need to sell their houses. You get your terms met, not the seller's terms. It's in your best interest to buy right now. Yes, we still have low inventories, but there's a ton of opportunities out there in the marketplace because I see them every day. I am constantly looking at the market and when I talk to buyers, I'm like, why do you want to wait? Oh, want to wait till rates go down. Oh, so you want to be like everyone else and start to put offers when there's multiple offers again. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, look, man, if you're serious about buying, sit with me for 15, 20 minutes and I'll show you why now's the time to buy. And it is important because most agents don't understand the data that's out there that's important to buyers to look at. And if you don't see that data and you're not understanding historical facts of how rates work, like George will actually sit with you and tell you, and you're not understanding what goes on in California with home prices and what has happened the last 25 years with home prices, you won't know when's a good time to buy. But right now we're sitting in one, right?
It's somebody did a video, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but it's the adage of buy when there's blood on the streets.
I heard this saying is like you want to, and I don't like it, but I'm gonna repeat it. And I may butcher this, but you want to buy when there's blood in the water, but it's like when they're bleeding necks. I hate that. I heard it so many times. The seller has a bleeding neck, and it's an investor term.
Yeah.
Investors use that so much because it's their way of knowing, oh, we can go take advantage of the seller. We don't want to take advantage of people. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to provide a service. But there are sellers out there who really do need to sell. And when you work with professionals like George and I, you're going to find those opportunities because not only will you be able to get yourself in a home that you want, but you're going to save money in the process.
The simple thing is, right now, I was talking to the owner of the building. He moved out here from Orange County 30 plus years ago, and again, telling me his first mortgage was at an 18%, right? And talking about his granddaughters and different things that he's telling him as far as advice. It just rewind, let's say my career that has spanned 21 years. I've seen first rate mortgages in double digits.
Oh.
And all you do is you negotiate because sellers have to come to the negotiating table now.
They do.
If you don't negotiate, then you're not selling your house. You have to be realistic. You have to be data driven. So either you're getting a price decrease, you're getting some closing costs, you're getting incentives, you're receiving something.
Mhm.
You're receiving something of value as a buyer. Now, let's say the interest rate is a 7%, which again, a 7% to me isn't high. But one of the things that the owner said of this building, he said, anybody who purchased in the last, let's call it not last year, but the last 3 years or 4 years has absolutely zero tax deductions.
Zero.
Uh,
That's such a huge what you just brought up right now.
There's no
So
tax
huge.
deduction. If you're paying 3%, you're paying 3.5%. Your tax deductions on that interest is none.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's like you invested into real estate, maybe possibly because you did need a tax deduction because your income was over a certain amount that you were getting taxed heavily.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a 3% rate. Really, how much are you really writing off?
So the other thing is wealthy people, right? So obviously, the higher purchase prices, business owners, entrepreneurs, they are the ones that the least to ask about rate.
Oh, all the time. I never had a business owner or, a professional. They never asked about
They're
rate.
used to paying 20% on equipment loans. They're
Yeah.
used to paying 15% or on hard money loans.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to it, and they understand that if you make $1 million
Mm-hmm.
and you pay that interest, is tax deductible.
Yeah.
And so it's not focusing on the rate. And this is my challenge, right? My challenge isn't necessarily the consumer, because the consumer, I can walk them through that process. But when an agent's like, well, what's the rate? What do you care?
Yeah. Why are you that your job is not to worry about the rate. Your job is to worry about how are you going to get your client into the house? How are you going to negotiate for them? The rate has nothing to do with you. That's the lender's job. The lender is to sit with that client, educate them on that, so that way you can do your job correctly and efficiently.
And it's like me saying, hey, I give, one of my agents a listing, and then all of a sudden I ask, well, what are you charging? Like, what do
What
you
does it
care, George?
matter?
What does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to charge what I charge based on my services
Yeah.
experience. Like, and I think an agent should charge full commission,
Yeah.
right? 6 to 9%. Sometimes you'll charge less because of the circumstances,
Yeah.
but I never question an agent's commission. But the biggest questions that we get, or me personally, are from agents rather than clients
Mm-hmm.
on the rate side. And when we're talking about going back to the Dream for All program, these interest rates are actually lower than traditional rates,
Yeah.
right? So it's there's a ton of programs out there, man. Combining it with seller credits helps significantly.
Yeah.
And it's just really a matter of a buyer giving themselves the opportunity to say, where do I stand? If the time isn't right, meaning you're not able to purchase, whether it's credit, income, or down payment, if you sit with the lender, you sit with an agent, you figure out, this is where I am.
Yeah.
And you want to become a homeowner, you follow these
Yeah.
steps. Most people are not ready.
And that's understandable.
You're just not, because you haven't been thinking for the past 5 years, I want to purchase a home. It's more or less, man, I'm starting to make good money now. You start to grow up and you start to see, what's going towards rent. You just start seeing the world a different way. Your
Yeah.
perspective changes, and then you get little light. Maybe something comes up on social media, or maybe you see an
Yep.
open house sign. Hey, can I purchase?
Yeah.
But take that step further to find out where you actually
Yeah.
stand. And if you're not ready, no biggie. You just take the steps that your agent provides you with, or that your lender provides you with, so that
Yes.
you can be ready in 6 months
Yeah.
or in a year. I see so many people that don't take that second step, and then I follow up a year later or 2 years later, and they haven't done anything,
Yeah.
and the rents are higher,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
obviously rents are going up.
Yep.
Rents will continue to go up. They're
Yep.
not coming down.
Yep.
And they find themselves in the same position when they could have purchased a house. And then the second thing is a sacrifice, right? So the sacrifice of understanding that your first home is not your dream home.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. And when I sit with buyers and they're talking about their home, and I'm one of the few agents that talk about wealth building with my clients. I'm the agent that gets called, we want to sell, and I'm like, why? Right
Mhm.
away, I'm like, why? I don't. I'm not one that say, oh yeah, I'm getting a listing. It's like, no, why? Do you have kids? Yeah. Okay. Let's sit down and talk. And I'm educating them on why they should hold their real estate versus sell their real estate. And so when I sit with the first time home buyer, I'm always educating them on, like, this is going to be your first rental, but you're going to utilize it as your first home.
Right.
And I start talking about wealth building with them because, I think, going back to what you said earlier, there is no classes out there that teach you this. And you can have an MBA, you can have a master's, you can have whatever degree you have, but you're still going to be financially illiterate
Yes.
because there's no classes out there that are going to teach you this. Now, I'm not knocking nobody, but I'm just saying, like, you got to work with people who understand things financially so they can educate you, so you can learn how to build wealth and build that, transitional wealth, which is going to give you, the wealth that you could pass on for generations. And for me, like, when I sit with somebody and they have kids, it's like, well, you're buying this property for you now, but this may not be your forever home. But think about your children when they're older. If you think prices are where they are now, how much you think prices are going to be when they're 25, 30 years old, right?
It's like the owner of this building saying, we couldn't afford an Orange County, so we moved to the boonies,
Mm-hmm.
and the boonies were Rancho Cucamonga. The boonies, right? And so he's like, we came to Rancho as a sacrifice. He said he purchased something in a condo in Diamond Bar first, further than
Mm-hmm.
Orange County, and then from Diamond Bar, then Rancho,
Yep.
30 plus years ago. And then he said, we created a life here,
And
right?
it's no longer the boonies.
And it's no longer the boonies.
Yeah.
It's kind of when you look at, let's call it Victorville,
Yeah.
the high desert.
High desert.
I owned properties in Victorville when I was 19, so call it 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, Bear Valley Road does not look like it looks like now.
Yeah.
And then when you look at projects that are coming into Bakersfield, for example,
Yep.
railroads, it's like there's nothing more that's going to be built downtown.
No.
You know what I mean? And then there's also a flight to suburbanism, where when people experience COVID, like in New York, for example, I had friends that are like, dude, we have not left our apartment. We're going fucking crazy in our apartment. Part of that happened in LA too, where people are now saying, I don't have to work from home. I don't have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I can work from home,
Yep.
and I got to get out of this fucking apartment.
Yeah.
Like I'm stuck. During the pandemic, I would go from, and I've told this many, many times, but I would go to my backyard, hang out for a while, go to the garage, walk around the block, be in my office. I would go to the park down the street.
Yeah.
I got an opportunity to like just be out.
Yeah.
And I felt so lucky to have that, because if I was in an apartment, I would go batshit crazy, because when I was just in my bedroom for 2 weeks, like quarantine, I was going batshit crazy.
Yeah.
No hugs, no kisses, no human contact.
No interaction.
It's why they put you in the hole,
Yeah.
right? They put you in the hole, you go crazy. So the Dream for All program, the gist of it is it's a 20% down payment program. It's a conventional loan,
Mhm.
so credit scores that are required a little bit higher, so 680 credit score. Debt to income ratios, you're basically being held to traditional guidelines, which would be 50%. So 50% back end ratio, 20% down, 680 credit score.
Which is still good to have a 50% back end ratio for
That's
this program.
that's
Because I remember back in the days, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it was like 43 or 45.
yeah, it was 43%.
Yeah. So like to have a 50% back end ratio, I mean, that's going to be huge.
It's an extra. So from the 43 to the 50, it's almost an extra pushing $100,000 in buying power.
Yeah, easily.
Now, this program will come with an equity share component. So the only time that you have to pay the 20,000 back, well, there's three triggers. So if you
Mhm.
sell the house, you
Mhm.
pay the money back. You refinance the house, you pay the money back. Um, and at the end of 30 years, you pay the money back.
Yeah.
But during those 30 years, you have no payments. The equity share component is similar to city and county programs.
Yeah.
So let's say that you make 100,000 on the house, you have a 20 equity share component, so you pay 20,000 back.
Guys, do you realize California wants to invest in real estate with you?
Yeah.
So utilize them as your business partner and think about this in business terms and sense. When you're looking at real estate, it's long term. You're looking at it as an asset, and California is telling you they will invest with you.
It's so I tell people, like, there's a program, the My Home program, which
Mhm.
exists right now. We'll give you the down payment, right? So if it's a conventional 3% down, or if it's a FHA 3.5%, they charge 1% simple interest.
Okay.
So what that means, it's, and I'll use small numbers, and these are real numbers. Call it $100 to $200 a year, not monthly, but a year in interest. And so if you borrow $20,000 towards your down payment, and it's costing you $200 a year in interest. I've known you, Martin, for, let's call it 20 years,
Yeah. Just
almost.
about.
So if you gave me 20 grand, and every single year I only got to pay you $200, you don't love me that much as a homie, as a friend. To say it's like, hey man, here's $20,000, and 30 years from now, all you're going to end up paying me in interest, total interest, is about 5 to 6 thousand.
That's nothing.
That's ridiculously nothing, especially when your house is going up.
Appreciating at least minimum 5% a year.
So let's call it your house is going up 20,000. So $20,000 in appreciation, and then you have the interest charge of $200 a year. So the state is not interested in making money off of you.
Yeah.
They are not. The interest rates on the first mortgages are lower. The interest rate on, let's say, the My Home is 1% simple interest. They have a ZIP program which charges you zero interest. So they'll lend you the money and they will charge you absolutely nothing. So what business person, what family member, other than your mom, dad, maybe an immediate family, are going to give you almost, because that's what it feels like. It doesn't even feel like a loan, but they're going to give you this money so that 30 years later, you say, hey, here's your money back, and here's a couple cents for letting me use that money. And so there are other programs out there other than the state of California that still provide assistance. So there's programs for first responders, for teachers,
Yeah.
for nurses, for people that work in the school system. There are programs to help you purchase units, right? So if you want to purchase 4 units and you don't have the down payment, there are programs for that. There are programs for current homeowners that if you own a house and maybe you're not getting all the proceeds to be able to purchase your next one, there are programs to come into place as long as you're occupying it. The biggest things for all these programs is, are you going to live in the house?
Yeah.
They have to be owner-occupied properties. If it's not owner-occupied, you're not getting help. If you're a first-time home buyer, you're getting the most amount of help. But if you're a repeat buyer, and if you currently own a property, you can still get help. With this program that's coming out, I think it's going to give clients the opportunity to obviously get closer to maybe the area that they want because they're receiving more. So increase the purchase price, lower the monthly payment because they don't pay mortgage insurance. Give agency opportunity to not have to ask for closing costs if the property is priced correctly. If it's not priced correctly, we're still going to ask for it because it's the best in the best interest of the client. And so,
Actually, best interest of both seller and buyer.
there you go. And so when I see these things come out, and you were literally one of the first ones that was like, hey man, we got to get on top of this.
Yeah.
We got to.
And it's because I see the value in it. I saw the value in it, and it wasn't in the business perspective, but it was like, how can we help people? Because I had a conversation 2 weeks ago with a potential person who called me on a rental, and the rental he called about was $4,300 a month.
Oh my God.
And I was like, can I ask you a question? He's like, what? It's like, have you ever thought about buying? And he's like, well, yeah, but we're just not ready, and we're this, we're that. And I said, well, how long have you been renting for? And he's like, 15 years. And I was like, did some quick math, and I threw numbers back at him and said, do you realize you've been paying this much for 15 years? And he's like, no, I didn't. So we started talking some more, and he was still hesitant about buying. He said, well, we're going to wait, 3-4 years. I said, cool. I said, you really want to rent? He's like, yeah. I said, well, I rented that property. I said, I can't rent it to you. I said, but I'll buy the house and I'll rent it to you for 5 years. Are you cool with signing a 5-year lease agreement? He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, if you don't believe in real estate as much as I do, because I believe in real estate as an asset, I said, and you're so okay with renting, I'll go ahead and buy it, and you can pay my interest for the next 5 years, and I'll just bank on the appreciation. I was like, and then 5 years when you're ready to buy, I'll sell it to you at the price homes are going to be at in 5 years. And he's like, was quiet, dude, and he didn't know what to say. And I was like, are you still there? He's like, no one's ever told me that before. He's like, I never heard any realtor tell me they'll buy a house and rent it to me. I said, yeah, let's go over here. North Fontana has brand new houses, so I'll take you. You pick the house you want. I'll put the down payment. I'll buy it. We're still going back and forth, but now I got him and his wife thinking about buying, because it took me to say, I'll buy the house and rent it to you, for him to think about it like, damn, why does he want to buy it right now? Like he didn't understand it. But after I did the math and I kind of estimated appreciation in the next 5 years, he was like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's perspective, man. And I think sometimes people are just really apprehensive to have a conversation. And sometimes people are apprehensive to just be honest. And a lot of times it's a slap in the face.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that.
No, but then but that's the thing though, right? Like I don't know who I was talking to, but one agent one time told me he's like, sometimes you do have to slap them in the face
Yeah,
in the nicest way possible, right? We're not here to diminish people or, kick them while they're down, but at the end of the day, I make a living from this. I'm successful because I know what I'm doing. You're successful for the same reason. You know how to negotiate, you know how to look at prices, you know real estate, and it's allow me to, take off these goggles or these bandages, but give me the opportunity.
yeah,
And sometimes it's a simple message, and sometimes it's a little bit more in depth. But as long as people are open to having that conversation, I think that they will see the benefit of home ownership.
yeah. I you know, I that in that conversation and going back to this program that we're talking about, like he's a perfect candidate for it, you know. Um, and his biggest reason why he wasn't able to buy was his down payment. You know, after talking to him more, he's like, we just don't have money to put down. And I said, well, how much do you have? And we were going back and forth, and he's like, I have X amount. And I was like, well, are you okay with starting here? And he's like, well, no. But now that this program's coming out, I can actually call him and say, hey, you need to get with my boy George and talk to him because I think this is gonna help you get the house you and your wife want. You don't have to wait, and you're actually going to start building wealth for your future and for your family. I was like, and that's really what I try to teach is like, look, we weren't taught about owning homes. At least I wasn't. My family, we rented. We didn't own homes. And then when my neighbors, the friends, they owned houses, their parents owned houses. We weren't taught this. So at a very young age, I bought I bought my first house because I knew how important it was to own your home. I knew why and I knew what the reasons were. And so I try to educate as many buyers as possible why it's important to own homes and what it can do for their future and what it can do for their family's future. And so when I was talking to him, it was like I wanted him to know that if I believed in real estate this much, he should believe in real estate just as much. And not to listen to all the negativity that the media is putting out there on the market, not to listen to what people are saying and don't do what others are doing because if they don't have what you want, don't follow them. And that's the big thing I tell people like, whoever's giving you advice, do they have what you want?
Right.
Are they an example of where you want to go? Because if they're not, stop listening to them because that means they are not giving good advice and they're not somebody you should listen to.
I was watching a video that I did, and part of my frustrations are the DS. I call them DS.
Yeah.
Anybody's a Thea that's giving
Yeah.
bad advice, but it's like, how many properties does your Thea own? Like, oh, I talked to, someone that I work with and they told me about rates, or I talked to this person at the restaurant and they told me, and I'm thinking like, dude, like, who are you listening to? Who are you listening? Are they a wealthy, real estate person, someone that invests in real estates that flips properties? Even a flipper is going to have a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if that person doesn't have what you want, then why are you listening to them? And that's the other part where it's like, do people not understand that the news will lead with negativity?
That's what they're selling
That's what
because
they're
it's
selling.
what's going to grab attention in their ratings. Unfortunately, fear sells
It does.
and it's used against us. And I understand this. And it's like, look, if you're going to be scared, then you're buying into the narrative and you're going to miss your opportunity. And if you're scared of buying a house because you're scared the market's going to go down, then you're going to miss out on your opportunity and the market's going to go up and you're going to be that person that said, I wish I would have.
What is it? Shoulda, woulda, coulda?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah.
Should it all over yourself? Um, so what else on that? I think on that program, I think we covered,
Pretty much everything, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
pretty
think we
much
covered
everything.
most of it.
Um,
I would just tell people again, call Martin if you guys have
yeah,
questions. Call me, send me a message. Don't don't sit on the fence and wait too long
yeah,
because other families will beat you to the punch.
yep,
The money will be depleted, and then there will still be programs, but not as attractive as this one. This one's the pretty girl that entered the bar or just announced she's going to it, and you have an opportunity to meet her or him, and you know that they're coming. It's a nice meet and greet, but that pretty girl, that
yeah,
pretty guy is only going to be around for so long because
yeah,
then they're going to go home.
yep,
There'll be other girls and other guys left at the bar, but they won't be the prettiest.
nope,
This is a really good program, man.
yeah,
It's a really, really good program. The state's always been very, very nice to me, and I say that. I know it sounds weird, but people say it's like, oh, I don't have pull, or I can't get things done, and I can't reach out. Anytime I reach out to the state, they're available immediately. Turn times are quick. We close these transactions. We tell our agents, you could put a 21-day escrow if push comes to shove, but we close them quickly. They don't take long. So it's just a matter of people giving themselves the opportunity. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. Give
yeah,
yourself the opportunity. It doesn't cost you anything. Consultation with Martin doesn't cost you anything. Consultation with me doesn't cost you anything other than your time. And we're going to make sure that during those moments that we spend together, where it's 10 minutes or an hour, that value is provided.
exactly. And don't be scared. Anything in life, you got to take a risk. You got to take a chance. And I don't view this as a risk, but I'm just, saying it like you got to take a chance. And the other thing is don't hesitate to get a second opinion with a lender. Like if your lender's not providing you these programs, contact George. Let them show you how you could use these programs to really take advantage and become a homeowner. And it doesn't hurt you to get a second opinion. Don't listen to anyone saying, "Oh, you're going to ruin your credit." That's all bullshit. It's all BS. If you're not getting the help that you deserve and you need, contact somebody else, get a second opinion, and just see what's out there. Take advantage of these programs while they're here, and don't wait. Don't be the person that said, "Man, I should have done something back then, or I should have done this." It's never late. At the very least, you'll have a roadmap of how to get to where you want to go, and you'll be more educated on what to do financially so you can set yourself up to become a homeowner and actually get the American dream, which is what everyone wants.
I agree, my friend.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, very good times.
We're good.
We're good.
Sale, bicho.
Ándale.
Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Pull some goddamn loans.
I
Like those
need-
shoes, man.
Thanks, bro. That was good, bro.
Finally. Yeah, I know.
Bro.
Finally.